Hi Vahbiz, welcome
Hi.
to Oddballs and Outcasts.
Thank you.
It's been months in the making,
Yes.
and I'm glad that you're here.
Yeah,
and you've
thank
had
you.
a busy few months, so
Yes.
why don't you tell me what all you've been up to in the last few months?
So the reason why this session has got postponed so much is because I started off the year with having an ACL injury myself in February. After that, I was in rehab, and then came. Athletes that are in rehab have to help in the back end. So I had to, from May onwards, be involved in coaching of the national Maharashtra team. For the state team and for our nationals, which were happening in Pune. And then fast forwarded into the national camp, which took place in Calcutta from July all the way up until the 31st of July? No, the 1st of July. Yeah, all the way up until the mid-November. So that's where I have been at all year long.
Yeah,
Obviously we'll speak about it in detail.
definitely. But
Yeah.
how did the national games go in terms of?
The National Games Goa was a little bit not as per plan. We stood fourth. Everything was quite a rush for us as well, because it being more so last moment, and even 2-3 months planning is still a little last moment for us.
Yeah,
Because Maharashtra being such a huge state, it's not the easiest to find a ground, accommodation and food in the same area. Nonetheless, we had our camp in Nagpur, and had a 10-day preparation towards the national games. So the prep and stuff was fine, but the national games did get challenging for us.
but
this
how do
year.
you build a state team when there are so many small villages or something that probably don't have that sort of access as some of the bigger cities do?
So there is a sports code that is laid out by our country, where you play for your district, you play for your so you play for your club, you play for your district, you play for your state, and every level you have championships that take place. So we have right now many districts that are affiliated to the Rugby Association of Maharashtra, and they all have their inter-district rugby games happening. When we call for a state championship, all of them confirm their participation, and that's where we get to know the talent from.
Okay.
Yeah.
So until how many months before or how many weeks before the tournament do you know, okay, this is the team?
This is the team. Oh, no, the team. Okay, so let's just say that we have the state championship.
Yeah.
Okay, the state championship date will be all dependent on the nationals. Now, let's say that they decide of keeping the nationals in about the first week of June. So, in about the first week of May, our state championship should be held and be done with.
Yeah.
So that we have 2.5 weeks at least to prepare for the nationals. The state championship will take place in the first week of May. And from there, pre-planning would be where the districts have to organize their teams and put teams together.
Okay.
So they would need at least a 3 to 4 week notice that this is happening in the 1st of May. So messages would start going out in the early days of April. And once that happens, people put their teams together, confirm their teams, everyone meets in May, and we have this inter-district championship. After that has happened, selectors select your best out of all those districts that came.
Yeah.
So the best players are selected, and from there onwards, everybody goes home for the next 2-3 days and comes back to wherever the camp is announced.
Okay.
So let's say by about 2nd week of May up until the 4th week of May, we are all in camp.
And are these 7s or 15s?
This is 7s. This is
sevens.
all 7s, yeah.
Okay.
15 season is something completely different, because our country is not very pro non-Olympic games in terms of support. And I mean financial support.
Yeah.
It's a bit challenging to navigate the 15s, where it has to happen on a personal expense. So that happens once a year, which happens in sort of between December and not December anymore. We used to have one tournament in October, and we used to have another tournament in Feb. But now a lot of teams are finding it difficult to travel with 26 players for 2 tournaments.
Yeah.
It's double the cost, right? Everything is double the cost from 7s. So we have only that one tournament in February that we go for.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that is completely, expenses are borne by...
Everything is borne by... so that tournament, expenses are borne by the National Federation, but it's all from savings.
Okay.
I wouldn't call it savings, but it's not an extra fund that we get specifically towards that. Yeah.
And in terms of the living and training facilities?
When you're playing a tournament, your living and training facilities are... they're good. You get decent food, and it's not as bad as we used to hear about it 10 years ago, if I can say that, you know, because I've seen the entire transformation of sport through my lens, where I've, like I said, slept in very close to bathrooms, and also, had a room of my own.
Yeah.
So within that, I've seen all of it. But during our nationals, we have a very decent setup where 3 to 4 sharing a room. If it's a good year, we have 2 people sharing a room, and it's nice.
Okay.
Sometimes we have to rough it out in a dormitory, but I wouldn't even call it roughing it out as long as we keep the space clean.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's also the onus of the team to keep their area clean.
Yeah. And also during tournaments, like a lot of time will be spent in training or outdoors. So like there's very few hours of the day that you're actually...
that you're in your room. Yeah.
And after the day you're so tired that probably even doesn't matter because everyone's crashing, or does
it? Depends how old you are, I'd say, at this point of time.
Okay, what have been your experiences?
See, like at age 13 to 18, everything comes. Everything you got to take your way. Everything you got to take in your stride.
Yeah.
They'll give you a thin mattress to sleep on. You just suck it up and sleep, because at the end of the day you're so tired. Like you said, it doesn't matter. You just go to sleep.
Yeah.
But now, post 27, 28, you just want a comfortable bed to sleep on. That's just the basic, because hey, recovery is late.
Yeah, that does happen.
So yes, now I'd say that at least I'd want a comfortable bed. It doesn't matter if it's on the floor, but just something to just that my body is not again falling on hard surfaces.
But speaking of your ACL injury, I think before the podcast we were discussing that why is it that women tend to have more ACL injuries than men?
So biomechanically, our bodies are built in a certain way, right? Women are built very differently from men. This would go for even our ligaments. Now the scene is that in women, flexibility of the ligaments is much more as opposed to in men, because of our estrogen and progesterone, which makes our hormones, which make our ligaments very loose. Whereas in men, the testosterone helps keep everything tight, which is why your muscles even show much more defined than ours. You go 2 weeks to the gym and you'll already see some shape in a man.
Yeah.
But for a woman, it will take probably 4 to 5 weeks. Now, my numbers and figures will not have scientific backing, but this is just by virtue of what I've seen.
Yeah.
This is all about our hormones. But coming to the laxity of the ligaments, that is what I would say the main cause or reason why female athletes tend to have more injury snaps in their ligaments than men do, or male athletes do. Also, the way our knees are designed. So men's knees have a it's called a Q angle. Okay, so that angle is different in the men than in the women. Where I would tell you that it's more like for the women, if it's like that, for the man it's like that.
All right.
So that little bit of an angle also makes a huge amount of difference. Plus our wider hips than the men. So I'm in all comparison to men.
Yeah.
So these are the factors that add towards women having more ACL injuries than men would.
And is there any difference in the recovery time, because for men it takes 7 to 9 months at the elite level?
No, I wouldn't say that there is any difference on that front. That all depends on your mental strength and the kind of help you have around you.
Okay.
Yeah. So I wouldn't say that men would recover faster than women, unless there is a study which I have not read. But no.
So you snapped your ACL in Feb. And how are you back to your 100% now?
I wouldn't say 100%. I took a brave move by entering the national camp at my 6th month. By then I was able to run. I was able to sprint. The only thing my surgeon told me not to do was get into contact yet.
Okay.
Actually, I entered camp at 5.5 months. So by 5.5 months, I was ready. I was squatting much more than my pre-injury personal best.
Okay.
I was lifting much more. So my progress over here, I felt was like great. But then rugby is rugby, right? Rugby is not lifting weights.
Yeah, that's true.
So we had the Asian Games camp that was first, which I went through completely, and I made it into the first, like the last few women that were remaining before the cutoff, before the final cutoff, final team selection. And that was a huge step for me in my head. I was like, okay, you know what? I was able to do this, you know. But like I said, rugby happened, and I was in the midst of a tackle. Something that was very regular on a regular rugby day, but post-injury, that seemed to take us, my knee seemed to take a certain different kind of an impact with that tackle. And it's human nature, right? The moment something happens to the same side, you just suddenly go into this. So that was a time when I had a discussion with the team physiotherapist and the manager and our coach that, you know what, maybe I should just let this one go. I don't need to push myself. It's not important for me. And that was the decision that we had to make. It was a tough pill to swallow, but at the end of the day, I'm happy that I made that choice, because playing in a exposure tour has much more is much more different than playing at that level of the Asian Games, where the pressure is high, the intensity is high, and everything is just 100. You know, there's nothing less than 100. So I'm also glad that, you know, I didn't push it and say that no, you know, I have to do this, because that also jeopardizes the strength of the team. Yeah.
So then how were you there with the team? Did you?
No, I was not able to travel because the Asian Games is a very strict structure. It's you know, you travel with your team and your support staff, which is your coach, manager and physiotherapist, if you need a masseur. So they are very strict with those guidelines.
So they just allow like 3 or 4 people more apart from the team?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you're not allowed to carry your entire public and go. Though, I mean, because I'm a certified physiotherapist, our management also thought that it would be beneficial to the team in some way to have me around, because just because of my experience and the calmness I bring to the team. But because paperwork had already been submitted and you know, so much has already gone through, it was not the easiest thing to do. So I mean, everything happens for the best, so that meant I didn't travel with the team.
And I didn't happen to catch the results. Like how did India fare?
So the Asian Games is a funny sport. Not sport. The Asian Games is a funny sport where your top 8 teams qualify, right, for women in the women's category, and India also sends you only should you qualify in the top 8.
Okay.
If you are ranked anywhere below that, you don't qualify in Indian qualification terms. What happened was that countries like Sri Lanka, Malaysia and Philippines, they chose not to go for the Asian Games because it's an expense for them, and at the end of the day they're not going to win the tournament. So it's an extra burden on their union costs. So they don't send a team. And the Asian Games ranking does not make a difference in your Asia rankings. It's a different tournament altogether. So because these 3 teams backed out, we got a chance to be ranked 7th.
Okay.
And Indonesia was also supposed to play, but they also thought that, you know what, there's no point in going here because, I mean, India beats us. So we would just go 8th and stand 8th. And that also doesn't look nice for any country. So there were only 7 teams, unfortunately, this year that participated in the women's side. So because we are now playing with the top 5 and top 6, you can't expect too much to happen in 1 month of training. Due to that, our result was we ranked 7th, which again, looking from the last Asian Games that we played back in 2010, the ranking didn't change much.
Okay.
We were 7th out of 8 over there also, and then now in 2023, again we stood 7th.
Okay, but what is the format if there are 7 teams, like the top 4 qualify?
No, they did play a quarter.
Because
Yeah, no.
quarter has 8 teams, so how did they?
I think one team got a bye or something like that. I'm not sure,
Okay.
but yes, something of that. Or maybe you're right. The top 4 teams went into the cup final.
Okay.
Yeah,
There's
yeah,
something that way.
yeah.
But in terms of quality, do you feel that the teams improved in terms of India's team?
Yes.
Like in terms of technique, in terms of
Oh, definitely,
understanding
definitely.
of
So
the
since the
sport?
past 5 years, we've gone into a very professional mode. Since 2018, we've had a South African team of coaches that have been coaching us, and they've really hit the nail on the head with regards to and hammered it down our system that rugby sevens is not just about throwing the ball to one talented player and hope that they go and score a try. It's about 7 people, actually it's about 12 people, the entire team working towards getting that goal or getting that try or winning the game. And they changed the concept completely with using 12 members of the team, but otherwise it was theek hai, starting 7 should be the strongest, and then the 5 will just be substitutes in case something happens to these 7. There they brought an entire change in structure where all the substitutes were used, so everyone was freshly being put into the field and nobody was exhausted and tired. Secondly was fitness. Our fitness levels had been like really raised through these past 5 years, which helped us at least stand ground with those like the top teams like Japan and China and Thailand and so on. So we can at least stand in front of them now and give them a tough fight as opposed to just being walked over.
Yeah.
And fitness is a huge role to play in that.
Yeah. And the South African coaches, is it headed by Nas Botha? Is he still?
Yeah, he used to be the director.
Okay.
But last year, because of his personal reasons, he had to choose to step out of it. But we have our coach is Ludwig van de Venter.
Okay.
He has a premier rugby sevens club in South Africa called the SA All Stars, and he does a lot of touring with his boys. It's a men's club,
Mm-hmm.
and he takes his team to a lot of these club sevens tournaments and performs pretty well.
Okay.
So he had come down with his coaching blueprint and so on for developing the sport over here.
And I think 4 years ago when we had met, you said one thing that the sport needed was exposure. So
Yeah.
has that changed in the
It
last
has.
4 years?
It certainly has. Our union is making great efforts towards giving us a tournament to play before we go for our main tournament. So when we go for our main Asian Championship, we're not going to play our first match fresh. After all the 365 days that have passed, we do go for a tournament, or we do go to a country which gives us match exposure.
Yeah.
So our bodies have already got that conditioning, and we've already got into that circuit of this is what we need to do. Since the past 2 years, we went to Thailand before our tournament, and we went to Borneo before our tournament, which was quite beneficial to us. Like I said, it doesn't make sense to go to a tournament fresh.
Yeah.
You need to have had that little bit of grilling, a little bit of getting into your zone process that takes place, which can only happen when you play a match.
But what these trips to Thailand and all, were they funded by?
Yes, it is a part of the entire structure.
Okay.
Where the Sports Authority of India has a fund for your sport development and
Yeah. But in terms of, say, remuneration, do like you have your physiotherapy thing, but
Yeah.
do your other teammates also have something that way, or is rugby their only focus?
Because everyone are still in university, they are still not working.
Okay.
Many have got jobs. Some the girls from Orissa are all have all got their government jobs. So some of them are in oil, ONGC. Some of them are in the police. Some of them are in the sports department. Some of them have been transferred to the education department. So Orissa players are quite well settled. Coming to Maharashtra, many girls apply for the UPSC and the MPSC exam. So one of our girls has got into the police. Another thing that tends to be priority is marriage for many women. So that happens. And I wouldn't say that anyone else has a backup.
Okay.
So as of now, it's everyone's education.
Mm-hmm.
I would only know in the next 3 to 5 years where these women would be.
Yeah. But is like rugby seen as something where they can make a livelihood in?
I wouldn't say that would be the case yet. It again depends on which state you are in and what are the scholarship, another scholarship, what do you call them? The prize money scheme systems in every state. So, for example, I can tell you in Maharashtra state, right? For an Asian championship that you pay, if you win the gold medal, you get 7 lakhs. If you win the silver medal, you get 5 lakhs. And if you win the bronze medal, you get 3 lakhs. This is all dependent on whether your tournament name is a part of the GR. Now, if any word in your tournament name does not feature in the GR, in the roster, your application gets cut. So they don't give you the money.
Okay.
Because your tournament is not valid according to this register.
Oh, it's not like you win the tournament and a check is given to you right when they are giving you the medal.
Oh shit! I wish it was like that. Then I would confidently say it's a livelihood. Yes.
Yeah.
No, but the GR keeps changing every year, and we keep hoping that it gets more diverse than just being stuck in stone in terms of Asian Championship. Now, in rugby, we don't have anything called as the Asian Championship, apart from the 15s format, which is not supported in any case. So the only other, the Asian Championship that happens is called the Asia Rugby 7 Series. Now, none of Rugby 7 Series features in the GR. So even though if you feature in the top 8, it's a little difficult to navigate those words.
Yeah.
And then you have to explain it to the person concerned who you're giving your forms to, that this is a championship and these are the teams, and there are a lot of ifs and buts that and the tournament you've played in has to have a minimum of 8 teams that have participated. Number 1. Number 2, you have to have all documents in place about getting invited to the tournament, getting invited to the national camp, the duration of the national camp, a selection letter. So within 5 days, it's just a frenzy of emails from here to there and signatures and stamps, because it's just getting all these documents together. Because usually, in our infrastructure, we do not have this concept of getting a letter saying that you're selected onto the team.
Okay. So how does it work?
It's announced.
It's just announced.
It's
like
announced.
Everyone's names.
And there is a document in the office that this was the team that got selected for this tournament. But you don't get a letter in hand saying congratulations, you've made it to the team, like a job letter. It's
so
not like that.
Happen.
So then get behind to getting that letter, and it's a little bit of a process. But at the end of the day, when you do get the fund, it's just bank account gone there, and it's non-taxed money.
Oh, that's what I was just going to ask you. Like all of it comes to you.
Yeah. It's non-taxed because it's from the government. It's a prize money. So it's if an athlete can live year to year on that, then it's ample amount of money. But at the end of the day, it all depends on the GR.
But it's also only prize money, right? It's not like a fixed income sort of thing. Only if you're at that level and you're amongst the top, that's when you're going to be getting that money. Yeah.
Now, if I can shed light on the perfect age group between 18 and 25, is your university age group. Let's just say even 17, I would consider. So as a 17-year-old, I can play the under 18 category. I can play the senior category on special permission. I would also somewhere come on, if I'm between that 17-18 age group, I can also play the university. So I have 3 extra tournaments in the year that I can play. And especially for the school games, the university games, and the if you're a part of a reputed institute, like any of these institutes in the north, in Chandi, in Delhi, in Punjab, these universities that are there, they offer you free education, number 1. So your education is taken care of. Your parents don't have to pay for anything. All you have to do is perform.
Yeah.
On performing and getting selected and, growing up into the ladder, at the end of the year, they give you an amount, a prize money. So that's another lakh and a half.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing is spoken now less than a lakh anymore.
Yeah.
Then you earn out of the university games if you win it. There you make some money. You win the nationals. There you make some money. So if you can actually account for where all you can get money from in this age group, plus 25, like once you're out of university, you have only one opportunity. That's the seniors.
Yeah.
You can't play in anything else unless you do jugaad, and just enroll yourself in a university pretending yourself to be under 25,
Yeah.
which a lot of people do, and it's I think it's survival.
Yeah, exactly.
It's unfair, but now that's where we've reached.
That's where the system is, right?
That's where we've reached at. That's and I know a lot of people who do that.
Yeah.
So the colleges and universities buy these players, and that's how you make money. So that's what I'm saying. If an athlete knows which are the places that they can make money from, I think a person can live out of this. It's not long term though, and it's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So-
Pro Kabaddi League actually is doing well. There are people going to the stadium
Yeah,
to watch
yeah,
games.
yeah.
And the same stadium, when it used to host football games, it used to be empty. Yeah, and I'm surprised because football is a growing sport. I thought that people would be more into it, but
I also think it's that whole, I think for a spectator, it's about that whole concept of indoors, and you just have to look in one place.
Yeah.
It's not like the ball is gone in the last
Yeah, that's
far
true.
end of this field and you're like, okay, when it comes here, I will see. It's not like that. So I think that also Kabaddi helps. I mean, it helps Kabaddi that it's just on a mat.
yeah. And it's also the quality of the game because
yeah.
Indians are really good at Kabaddi and at cricket.
Yeah.
So that's why those two sports are really like
Get
doing
a lot of
well.
viewership. Yeah.
But for something like rugby to start, you'll need channels to want to broadcast it and those kind of things. Yeah.
So it's also gonna have to have a little bit of tweaks in its rules and time frames and where the commercial comes in, and all of those things will matter a lot to the sport at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Because if you see rugby just like that on the ground, let's say you're standing at the sideline, it's not very entertaining. So I mean, that would be the job of obviously the broadcasters to make it entertaining.
It's a very tactical sort of game.
It is, yes. Yeah. And unless you don't understand the rules and why the hell are they beating each other up?
Yeah, why are they not throwing the ball forward and all that?
Yeah,
Like, firstly,
so
you have
many
to explain
questions.
those kind of rules. Yeah.
And there's a huge misconception that rugby is American football and vice versa. So the whole question of, oh my god, these guys are not wearing helmets and they're not wearing shoulder pads and there is just no guarding, what is going on? And that there are just questions, and by the time 15 minutes is over, you're like, hey, this is done. Oh, that was stupid.
Yeah.
Although you can either go on the side of, oh, that was pointless, or you'll be like, oh shit, that was so much that happened in such less time. So it can go anywhere, and I think that will be the entire job of the broadcaster to make it, explanatory.
But at what age, did you know that you want to get into rugby?
So I never wanted to get into rugby. I was always fond of sport. I've always played sport, and I've always wanted to be engaged with sport the moment that it happened to me. Whether it was running with a limbo on the spoon and racing, whether it was a sack race, whether it was a 3-legged race, or put the notebook on your head and race, it always made me happy. And those fun races became into more, technical races like the 100 meters, and swimming happened, and so many things came my way, and then suddenly handball happened. So I was just in and out of sport. I was very lucky to be a part of Dastu school, which nurtured that entire talent in me, and made me utilize it to my best. So rugby, I was introduced to rugby when I was in my 10th grade, and that was it. I said, okay, let me try this out. So it was never that I wanted to, or I've dreamt of it. It was just something that came my way, and I was like, let's do it.
So in 10th in school, someone came and
So my coach, Surut Khare, he runs the Pune Rugby Academy in Pune. He came to the school to promote the sport, but it was that part of the year where everyone is in 10th standard preparation and
board exams and all of that.
Board exams, and even the the kids from 6th to 9th standard have to be all careful and silent because the 10th graders are studying, that kind of shit. So I think he came at a wrong time, but my PT sir then, Sanjay Kamble his name is, he said, wait, you know what, don't go empty handed, let me introduce you to some athletes. And in that we got introduced to him, and he said, you know what, why don't you come and just try out the sport after your exams are done? So we're like, yeah, we definitely. So March exams got over, and that was it. Joined the sport, and that was that.
And you said that there was that perception of it being a man's sport. Is that still there?
No. It's gone from being a man's game to being beating each other up game. So I think now people have also realized that women can beat each other up. So no, that whole misconception has been eradicated over the years, I would say. Yes, back in the day I would receive a lot that, but rugby is only played by men. That statement I don't hear, and I've not been hearing since past 3-4 years at least, that people have come to accept that women play sport, period.
Yeah.
Whether it's contact or non-contact. And I think, hats off and all credit goes to the Olympians and those who have performed at major events where, and especially in games like wrestling, powerlifting, fencing, which are contactish games, even basketball for that matter, So our women have really put ourselves up there, showing that, what, we do this. It's nothing different. It just requires skill and a little bit of training, and anybody can receive that.
Yeah.
So that misconception has certainly been out of the window.
But on a segue, speaking about women in sports, you must have followed the entire Sakshi Malik thing and her leaving her shoes right there, and then the backlash that followed. So what do you make of the entire situation? And do you think that if we want women to do better in sport, this is not the way it should be handled, and they should be getting more support?
I think any athlete, all we expect, and I can speak for the entire population, is we expect respect. Any athlete, the monies can come and go, the medals can come and go, but despite all that, if you're going to disrespect us, man or woman, I'll speak for both, everybody who's out there, that just respect us. We're putting in all our blood, sweat, time into something that brings the nation an entire, it brings us a lot of honor.
Yeah.
So if we can be respected by our international counterparts, what goes of yours to just hold that same space for us? So I do think that respect is the key with regards to any athlete, and anybody for that matter.
Yeah.
It just feels more for an athlete, because sport is so much about respect, and you respect one another, and on field or on the mat or on the court, wherever you are at. But when you go back home and you have to face this, it just feels very bitter. That all that effort for this. So with regards to the entire Sakshi Malik case, it's very unfortunate that any athlete should have to face something of this situation. And women, men, both, nobody should be exposed to any sexual assault during their career. However, I also, the debating mind that, I keep having a conversation with myself about it, that, there should be an interrogation about it. It should not just go one way in terms of, okay, athletes have raised their voice, so they should be listened to. Their complaint should certainly be taken in, but there has to be an interrogation in place, because tomorrow any athlete can get up and say that, I have a problem with this person, sexual assault. And it should not turn out to be something like that. Even though this is very authentic in itself.
Yeah, because there are a lot of people coming forward. Yeah.
Many people have come forward in terms of letters, anonymous letters, mails. And it's not a joke that your 3-4 Olympians are standing out there, sitting on the roads at Jantar Mantar and protesting against it, you know. So it's not something small, certainly. And that's why I said there has to be an interrogation that takes place. It should not be taken lightly. And if an athlete has complained, I think the concerned authorities need to act upon it fast. It's just been so long.
Yeah.
I don't know why the delay. What is the reason? Why aren't you just hearing them out? Why is this person being given the time to do whatever. Call both parties into one place and bloody grill the entire thing. Navigate the entire situation. See what it is. Why are we making our pride have to scream and shout and be heard? Why does she have to hang her boots for something mega to happen? And then you turn around and say that, oh no, you know what, the Wrestling Federation cannot organize any tournaments yet because the election was too fast. Just when they're saying something, listen to them. Why make an entire chakravyu out of it and just waste time? So that's where I feel that the governing bodies or the sports ministry is being a bit lax about interrogating and getting to the crux of the situation. Obviously, I mean, only God knows the truth, like we say. But something will come out of it. Pay some heed towards it. Don't leave it just that one person a few people are shouting and screaming, and those who have to have their time wasted are enjoying it.
Yeah, it seems like they're just taking all the time they want because something else will come and that will dominate the headlines and people will forget about
Precisely. And that happened. It did happen when they said that they'd come to a discussion about it. It did slow down, but now suddenly you have these people showing up on a podium and the athletes are giving up their medals, they're giving up their national awards. It's not a small thing, and I think that the sports authorities need to get to the base of this.
And social media is a cesspit. I'm seeing people saying that why are they returning their medals and not the prize money and all of that. Like that's where they are. That's how low they are stooping in terms of things like that.
It's very stupid because the money is either invested or spent.
Exactly.
So you can't.
And it's the money that they deserve because they've won the country a medal at the Olympics. So you have no right to tell them what they should and should not do.
That's very silly. It's very stupid. But also what I feel bad for this is, that the entire federation goes through a loss. That even there was a time when the Fogart sisters, they did well, and there was suddenly you saw this entire interest developing in wrestling. And it was going a huge way. And now this is completely taking away, all of that effort or all of that hype that was created around wrestling, and it's one of our local sports. It's not a joke. It's like hockey or it's like cricket. If people think twice about now starting to play cricket, you as a nation will wonder, that what the
exactly.
like what the hell has happened, So if this similarly, I think we should think about wrestling in that format, because it's Bajrang, your Sushil Kumar, your Sakshi Malik, the Fogart sisters, everybody has got medals. It's a huge majority that they have in the tournaments. So they have to be respected and listened to. That's all.
And where do you think this is heading? What do you think is going to happen? Because I think recently I saw that they've moved the federation out of his residence, Brij Bhushan Singh's residence. So that's the latest. But where do you think it's going?
I cannot foresee it going anywhere, honestly, because of the way our country functions. I'm hoping, though, that it is resolved very soon, because I'm thinking about that 5-year-old and that 7-year-old who are joining wrestling now. That their entire process is going to be delayed because your federation is weak. Yes, the coaches at the local level continue to doing their work, but what are they playing for? Every athlete wants to play for a tournament.
Exactly.
So I'm thinking about that new crop that's coming in, that who look at these people. Now, if I'm a 5 or a 7 or a 10-year-old, let's say, who can still decipher things. I'm a 10-year-old and I'm looking at the TV and I'm seeing a Sakshi Malik crying on TV. I'm like, seriously? All of this effort for that? No chance.
And if you're a parent of that kid...
Then even worse.
Yeah, that's worse. You're like, is this what I want to send my kid into? And that's why I feel that's why a lot of Indians who are talented at sport don't really pursue it, because of all the red tape and bureaucracy behind the scenes.
Maybe. But again, as an athlete, if you can navigate that, Pranav, it's you're a winner at the end of the day. Because the politics will happen. It's a part of any organization. Any organization you look at. Politics is there. You just need to know how to navigate around it. And I think that's what even sport teaches you, how to navigate through the gaps and, get to the goal or get to the try line. No matter how many tackles, no matter how many breakdowns, your attempt is to just keep getting and going forward.
Yeah.
So I think that athletes naturally, due to their involvement with sport at a very early age, learn that. So if you're able to navigate that and not succumb to its negativity, I think you at the end of the day, you turn out to be a winner.
Okay. And you started like at a very early age, and that's all obviously built leadership and all of that into you. So you feel that you've always been that, or it's grown as you've progressed in your career?
No, it's certainly grown as I've progressed. I've seen a lot of my teammates leading before me. So in the Maharashtra handball teams, I've had captains, and I've seen how they've led the team, and I've seen their voice modulation and tactical, when do they step in, this, that and the other, so I've seen that phase and that level, school level.
Yeah.
Then when I joined rugby, our captain was Avni Sabde. I saw how she'd take the team through the cracks, picked and learned from there. I never actually saw myself becoming a leader at that 16 and 17 age that I was at. Before I knew it, that I had to lead the team, because Avni, our first captain, she stopped playing. Then Surbi, our second captain, had to move out of the country for studies. And then the responsibility came onto my shoulders, and that happened very suddenly. So when that took place, I was already prepared. I was shocked, but I was prepared, because I had already taken a few tips and pointers from all these people. And in 2013, when they had announced that Vahbiz is going to lead the team, I just said, I'm just going to do it the way I'm going to start doing it the way that I know it, by taking all this information that I've had from my previous captains, and then let me grow into my process.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what happened.
So now you can be like the right mentor for these kids coming into it, who are overwhelmed by the entire occasion and all. Especially when they are playing their first tournament. I think you must be the go-to person for them, given your experience and stuff like that.
Yeah, definitely. A lot of people also don't, those who come from very remote villages, they don't know me.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter. But once they reach the tournament, they realize that, okay, you know what, this person seems to know something. Let's go and ask. Some people, we know how team structures work, right? A lot of girls are just said, okay, you play softball, come play rugby. She's really not interested, but she's there.
Yeah.
So there are players like that who just don't care. We just had a national and a small inter-district tournament that happened. And some girls didn't have shoes to play. So it's even that level that we experience and encounter. But not many of these girls look at rugby as a future. They look at it as, ठीक है, घर से बाहर जाने को मिल रहा है. We're getting to travel. We're getting to be with our teammates. And that's the whole experience about it.
Yeah. But not having shoes, then how do they play?
They share.
Or they just share their shoes and all that? Okay. Wow.
Yeah, it was pretty overwhelming to see, because there was this... So, under 14 age group kids play touch rugby. It's not contact.
Okay.
So, we divide the football field into 2 fields. So, 2 halves. And they play breadth-wise.
Okay.
So, that's how the game goes. And one team, like the under 14 girls team, had come with 2 teams. And both teams moved up the rank. It was Osmanabad, called Dharashiv right now. There were 2 teams that were there, and one was to play a match on this half, and one was to play a match on that half. So the organizer from that half called the organizer from this half and said, "Where the hell is this team? Where is Osmanabad A?" She said, "Oh, they're standing right here at the outside of the field. They're cheering on Osmanabad B." So she went and told them that, "Hey, you guys have a match over there right now." And they were all without their shoes, and they said, "Ma'am, actually we're sharing shoes."
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so she just said that, you know what, she called that organizer that way and said that, hold up everything, let this match get done, because they're sharing shoes, and then so from our end, how much ever we could accommodate them, we did.
So they've been learning barefoot, they've been training barefoot.
Yeah, but also Pranav, I've seen videos, a lot of videos from the South African side of the story, and even I'm in communication with Coach Nas Botha, and he tells me that up till age 14, 15 we play bare feet, and I've seen it.
Okay.
The kids play bare feet.
Is there any reason behind it?
I think it's better for their running development.
Okay.
Yeah, I do think that's the reason. I don't know why they do it, but my assumption of it is running bare feet is much better for children.
But when these companies like Nike, Adidas have those shoes designed specifically for athletes, so that's not really helpful?
I mean, that is, but they are, a surgeon will always tell you to go for surgery.
Okay.
So,
Fair
as
enough.
much as your big sports companies make shoes for your feet and for the athletes and arch this and pronation that and all of that said and done, as much as a child can run bare feet, it's the best.
Okay. So were you also that way? Did you also train?
No. At home, yes, but I didn't get that exposure outside. I was always in your Bata shoes.
Okay.
Yeah.
But even they are good
which
enough.
Which is as good as bare feet.
I think even when you were in school, it was similar kind of shoes. Yeah. And I wanted to also speak to you about your downfall, not in terms of your quality, but in terms of your fitness, because that had kept you out of the team for a while. So what was that stage like in your career, and where were you mentally?
So I graduated as a physiotherapist, and when you're studying in a degree, in a professional degree college, in a course, there's a lot of external inputs that career, pathways and connections and public relations, and many words are thrown onto your ears. And that's when I finally graduated, I was like, what, maybe I need to start building my foundation. I need to start building my career. This is the start. And we keep hearing that shit now, that work hard in your 20s so you can enjoy in your 50s.
Yeah.
So that's sort of, all these things keep rolling into your mind. And it was 2016, and I was the captain of the team at that point in time. And there was this complacency that set in with regards to rugby. Our fitness was not that important for us, that go to the gym and prioritize your fitness. 6 o'clock in the morning I go for practice is enough. Where when 2016 when I graduated, we had played a tournament in the start of the year, which I thought would be the only tournament that we had played, because we play only one tournament a year. But last moment we had to play the top 8 tournament in the end of the year, because one of the other teams had backed out from the list of teams that would participate in the tournament. So we moved up.
Okay.
So it was very last moment. So even our camp was just for 9 days. It was very short, very, very short, very fast. And in the lead up to that, I had not gone for a single practice session over here in Pune, because now I have to build a career. So I'd start working as early as 5:36 in the morning, and I'd work all the way up till 7:30 in the evening. And then I'd be so smashed and tired that I just wanted to sleep. And in the middle, because I was home visiting, I was just going from one place to another. Whatever I would get on the way, I was eating. So anything, you can name it, and I was eating that. So obviously, energy output was less, input was more, weight gain happened, conditioning went down the drain. So rugby related commitment was becoming lesser, and physiotherapy related commitment was growing. Until we got an invite to this camp, and I was like, oh shit, but I'm not trained for it. I was like, okay, 9-day camp, how much can change? Go. Unfortunately, the coach that we got was Japanese at that point in time. And he'd make us run and run and run till our insides were outside of us. Because again, I mean, thinking back, it was not that much of running. But because we were not conditioned and because we didn't prioritize the fitness, that's why it seemed like a lot. So the camp went through and I clearly found myself behind the entire pack. And I remember after the first day of camp, in the evening I spoke to my mom and I said, Ma, I don't think I'm making it this time. She said, no, it's okay. It's just day one. It's okay. Relax. You'll get into it. It's always that first day. But the second day also looked like that, and the third and the fourth. And I was just like, shit. I was like, this will be very bad if I don't make it. And it came to the selection day, and I found myself not in the team. So I was obviously very devastated, felt very bad. And I was 24. Yeah, I was 24, and I was like, is this the end of it? Is this what they call the end of one's career? I mean, I've been playing since 2009, so should this be it? And I kept thinking of all these things, and it was late October, I remember. So, it's at the end of the year, you have that sort of thing ki mujhe is taraf jana hai kya us taraf jana hai. The end of the year helps you make that decision because resolutions and New Year and all of that. And I was like, you know what, I can't end this way. It can't end with me not deciding it. And that's when I made a choice that, you know what, I need to bounce back. I need to make some certain changes in my life. And that's how it built up from there. So started giving equal attention to rugby, physiotherapy and my fitness. So that's the year, all of 2017 and all of 2018, I was only traveling places on my bicycle. I would very rarely use a motorized vehicle. Very, very rarely. So I also have certain accounts in how much I have saved on fuel in that year. So
were you also like monitoring your fitness in terms of how many steps or?
No, I don't do all of that.
Okay.
It's too much. Sorry, it's too much of information. I don't care how many steps I walk as long as I am feeling good about my conditioning and
yeah.
And
so it was that entire year where you just slogged it.
Yeah, really slogged it.
Okay, but did your physiotherapy timings change then? Is that when you moved?
That's when I moved it from. I was like, I don't need to work at 6 in the morning. I can easily start at 7:30, and I don't have to work till the late evening because I need some time for myself.
Yeah.
And that's when I decided that I can work till 2 o'clock happily, earn my living, be happy with that, be happy with this, happy.
And what about your rugby training? Like, does that happen daily or?
No, so rugby training does not, from a few years, it's not happened daily. Back before it used to happen daily when Sir was in a better condition. He's also growing old. So rugby training is, from the past few years, has happened more now based on my timing and as and when I can fit it in.
Okay.
But otherwise it's just conditioning and fitness.
And what about the rest of the national team? Like, is there a core group of players who've still been there with you throughout? Because like you said that there are people who left for different reasons.
Yeah. If I have to talk way back from between that 2009 to 2014-15 era, from there's just 2 of us who are now in the team yet. Everyone else has rotated and changed and moved on in life. And it's one girl from Orissa. Her name is Hupi. Myself. And just this year, actually, one girl from Delhi, Priya Bansal. She retired from international rugby. She still plays national. And she's also working on being a referee now. So she's engaged with the sport, but through a different...
All right.
Yeah.
And where is Neha?
Neha is in Delhi as of now. She is a mother of 2.
Okay.
So in 2021, she gave birth to her twins. And after that, she's in the process of coming back. But it's not easy to remove 2 human beings from your body and, bounce back ASAP. So she's taking her time with it.
Okay.
Yeah, but she is very much involved with rugby in Delhi. She is the General Secretary of the Rugby Association of Delhi. and recently she coached the Delhi team for the national games. So she's very, very much involved.
Okay.
Yeah.
And is that something you see yourself doing too, like being a coach?
It's happening side by side as I play. Like I said, injured players are involved in coaching, and that was my first stint when I coached the Maharashtra team this year for the nationals. I wouldn't say I don't see myself in it. It's not my go-to that, okay, khelna band ho gaya to coaching start kare. That's not what I am thinking.
Yeah.
Though this year I've explored the referee side, and I'm very keen on that aspect of it because there's a lot of running and maintaining of the fitness and so on. So I've actually liked the refereeing part of the story. Because I'm a physiotherapist, I also like the first aid part of the story, being on the field. So those are certainly aspects that I look towards in terms of remaining connected with the sport after my playing career.
And speaking of refereeing, I think I'm a huge football fan, and there they've recently introduced something called as the VAR, which is a video assistant referee. And even after like 2 or 3 years, it's still not at the level where it should be. And everyone keeps saying like the technology they use in rugby is amazing, like in terms of they have communication, everyone can hear what they're talking about, and here it seems like everyone's very, like they can't even see the replays in the stadium, and they just listen to the referees about what they are saying, and then that's it. Like they don't see why the decision being made, the lines being drawn and all that. So does rugby have a really good assistant referee kind of system in terms of video and technology and all of that?
Definitely, yes. It's because rugby is such a, it's a point ka difference, like literally fractions of differences in terms of whether the player's foot was touching the white or not. Like it has to go to that much of a minute detail. So I think to capture that, it's very important to have that kind of a system in place. So yes, I'm sure that they have a very solid system in place, and the referee can see what is happening on the big screen. The video analyst inside can see what's happening in front of his screen. The assistant referees come in. So the guys who are running on the sidelines, they are also on the field. So they come in and they have a huge discussion about it.
Okay.
So it's definitely very, very advanced.
And do they have any semi-automated things like in terms of lines and all that, rather than the person deciding it? Is there like an artificial intelligence deciding this person's crossed the line or some technology like that?
There is nothing of that as yet.
Okay.
Nothing of that as yet, but there's cameras on every line. So the view that we see in the if there is a we call it a TMO.
Or TMO,
Yeah. So if there is a request from the referee, what we see is the angle from head on, from back, from side, and from the referee's angle.
Yeah.
So there's every angle that you're looking at it happening, and a very close-up shot of a different angle where it's an oblique angle. So you see all the ways in which that situation has come about.
Yeah.
So there is no way that you have missed any angle or any possibility.
I think that's the benefit, right? Having so many cameras and all of that. I think that's where football is lacking.
And you also see it from the top, by the way.
From the top, okay.
Yeah.
So there's a spider cam.
Spider cam.
Okay. So how many spider cams are there? One. It follows the game wherever it goes.
It follows the ball. Yeah.
Okay. And the decisions, do they take a lot of time or are they pretty quick?
No, they're pretty quick.
Pretty quick.
Yeah.
So on an average, you would say 30 seconds to a minute.
Yeah. Minute and a half. 90 seconds pakdo.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's pretty good.
Max, yeah.
But this technology is only in international tournaments, right?
Yes. As of now, only in international tournaments. We have tried to start using a TMO reference in our national tournaments as well. But that's only audio. You don't have a visual of it. The visual is with the assistant referee who's inside with the screen.
Okay.
So the referee on field cannot see it. So if there is a situation, he calls for a timeout and speaks with the referee on the intercom that this is the situation, what are you looking at?
Yeah.
So with whatever camera footage that they have, they see the replay and then they make a call.
Okay. So that
also takes about a minute and a half to 2 minutes.
So that's something you would probably like to get into something that way.
Not the back end.
Not the back end. You want to be on the field. Yeah, you want to be part of the action.
Yeah.
I mean that happens, right? Like I've spoken to a lot of athletes. Once they've like hung up their boots, they feel that like dissociation from the game, and they want to be involved however they can.
Yeah.
And then on the flip side, there are some people who just don't want to. They just like.
That's
so you think you will be the more hands-on kind of.
Yeah. I mean, I look at myself as quite a resourceful person in the field, and I think that it's also my responsibility to give back in certain way. So, I mean, tomorrow if my association asks me to help with coaching, I will help with coaching.
Yeah.
Would I take it up if they give me an option and say that, okay, you either can coach in this nationals, or you can referee in it, or you can be a first aider, and go more towards the refereeing and first aiding part.
Yeah, but that'll be a fun experience too.
It will definitely.
I'm looking forward to that. Not that I want you to try anytime soon.
No.
You've got at least 10 to 15 years more, right?
10 years. Yeah, I'm 30.
Okay, so that's good 10 more years.
Yeah.
But what is like the average age of retirement for a rugby player?
The longest I've known a female rugby player play is about 38.
38.
Yeah.
Okay, so you can break that record. You can become 40.
Let's say, yeah.
Yeah. Touch wood. And also I wanted to speak to you about the global challenges in women's sport, like with there being a lot of transgender athletes taking up spots for women and breaking their records and all. What is your entire take on that? Like, where are we heading as a society?
I think, especially with regards to the whole gender thing, I think my opinion is that men, women, and then any other category that should be there. Sport is meant for all, and there has to be a category for transgenders to participate and play. You cannot say I'm suddenly a woman today and compete in a female category. It's just not fair. I am completely against it, because you can't change the fact that you're made with certain hormones.
Yeah.
Yes, you've transitioned and you feel a certain way, and all due respect to how you feel and what you feel doesn't change the reality of science that you are biologically stronger than what a biological female is, and you just one has to accept that.
Yeah.
You can't say that, no, but I am female. Yes, that must be how you feel, but the body make is not of a female. You have to give the time to that transition. So I think transgender should not be competing in female sports.
Yeah.
No.
And I think that's slowly, I think everyone's waking up to it, because I think last few years people are experiencing all these issues of records being broken and all of that, and then they're realizing that, okay, where are we going?
Yeah.
And there's no scientific evidence. Exactly.
It doesn't make sense. Then, if it was something like that, then women and men would compete in the same events now. And if it was like an open event where, age would be the criteria, for example.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. Then you're man, woman, transgender, you're all in the same pool. But there is a clear demarcation between men and women's sports. That just has to be respected. Okay, you don't feel male, fine, but your body is not female, which you need to accept and understand and come to terms with. So why not push for form? You take it up a third category.
Yeah. And what is the rugby federation's take on it?
As of now, we've not had any
issues as such.
I wouldn't call it an issue, but we do not have any concern such.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what about any behind the scenes talks about your teammates struggling to get this issue out? Maybe come to terms with who they are and broadcast that to the world. Or do you feel that they are still keeping it behind closed doors because of the stigma they might receive?
I see the whole coming out business that is there is very I don't want to sound incorrect, but it's a very developed world concept. Today if I feel a certain way, I will be that way. Or if player X feels a certain way, they will behave in that certain way. Then when they hear about, oh, you have to come out as, I think that is what pushes them further in.
Okay.
Because, in today's day and age, it's very obvious, whose orientation is where. one does not need to put it into words and say that, oh, you know what, I'm gay, or you know what, I'm bisexual. The society understands that now, or your environment understands that now. But the moment they hear or come across things on their social media platforms or in things that they read, that, oh, this person came out and na, that whole concept of coming out, my opinion is that you just get pushed in further, that, oh shit, I have to do something to announce that I am gay or I'm lesbian or whatever, Why do I have to make an announcement?
Okay, so basically they don't want to feel special, just like equal to everyone.
Yeah.
That's what, yeah.
I mean, I would presume that is how it would be, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it's not like a report card.
Yeah, exactly.
90%.
Yeah. Because in football, there has, like at the elite level, no one has come out when they are playing. They've only come out after retirement because they feared the backlash, and they also feared that their dressing room won't treat them the same way. So do you feel that's the case with whatever you experienced?
I've not spoken with any of the athletes, but again, of what I see, everybody's comfortable in their skin, at least of what I see.
Yeah.
And I don't see discomfort in terms of a female athlete feeling male and being uncomfortable in changing up in the girls' bathroom. I have not come across that.
Okay.
I have not even come across this with the other gender. I just feel that I feel that, at least with regards to rugby, everyone is so openly there and about their choices. Yes, there are, I mean, the teammates can sometimes be a little snide and be like, तू क्या लड़की की हाथ पकड़ रही है, तू क्या लड़के का हाथ पकड़ रहा है, तू क्या वो है क्या, that I'm sure those comments fly around.
Yeah.
But I do not think that stops that player from expressing themselves.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in terms of what you experienced, everything's pretty good.
It's neutral. I wouldn't say that there has been any hate. It's neutral.
It's neutral.
Yeah. Like, you do you, boss. Don't come into my comfort zone.
So that's nice.
It's fine.
Yeah. And also, like, say in the next 5 years, where do you see, firstly, Indian rugby, and secondly, yourself?
In the next 5 years, I see Indian rugby growing leaps and bounds, because I have seen it growing since 2009, where I have seen, literally, we've been only 8 teams struggling to put together a tournament. Now we're 26 states, 27 states in the same tournament. Just 15 years flash forward. So in the next 5 years, if you're asking me, I see definitely a lot of development coming in the pipeline that we speak of, where you need to have your development crew, you need to have your working, and then you need to have those who are at the end of the pipeline, but they are so important to help the middle come pull up. And as much as the influx happens here, this can start moving up, because if this doesn't come, then these can't move further. So I see that pipeline getting more solid. Right now it's there, but it's almost like a trickle of water passing through. I'm looking at it in the next 5 years becoming a more solid flow. That's number one. Secondly, that speaking of development, speaking of high performance, I do think that the Indian teams, both the men and women, have it in them to move up into, at least for the women, we will move up into the top 5 category. I see it happening. For the men, because competition is so much higher, I do know that they will come into the, I can foresee them coming into the top 8 category.
Okay.
So this is where I'm foreseeing performance-wise the teams moving up. As a union and a federation, like any other small organization, when it grows, as much as assets come in, as that many concerns and troubles also come along with it, but I think it's part and parcel of growing. And because rugby is the second largest viewed sport in the country, in the world. Second largest, yeah, that's what they say. During the World Cup and stuff, these are those stats.
Yeah.
I think that India will take to rugby so much more, and it'll become a bigger organization than it is today. In terms of my personal vision of where I would be at is I do see myself being a part of that team that moves into the top 5. Certainly.
Okay. So you're going to be the leader who's going to guide the team.
Whether lead or follow or just be a backbone support, I will be there.
Yeah.
I know that I will be on that team of 12.
It's been how long since you've made your debut?
15 years.
15 years. So you're going to be playing for another 10 years.
So
it's going to be 25.
It's also very special that I've grown with the sport, because when you're 16 or when you're 15 going to 16 is that first transition that takes place in your life, sort of like a milestone.
Yeah.
And since then rugby has been with me. So as I've grown, I've seen the sport also growing around me, and it's almost like 2 siblings have grown together.
Yeah.
So it's also very special for me to see where the sport is and how it is going to be at, where it is going to be at.
I think that's a fantastic way to end things here. And before we wrap it off, can you tell everyone where they can find you on social media? Yeah,
so on Instagram I go as Bharucha Vahbiz. My profile is public. Do follow. On Facebook I go as Vahbiz Bharucha, but I see my Facebook very less, and that's where I am at.
And if they want to get in touch for any physiotherapy related stuff?
You can DM me on Instagram itself, but very rare would I take up a physiotherapy client just like that, because my days are packed.
Yeah.
But do hit me up anyway. You might get a slot. Do not send good mornings, good afternoons, J1 Keleka and all of these. But I am there. I check my Instagram regularly.
So
yes.
I'm just going to jokingly comment J1 Keleka on your pictures now. That'll be good.
And the J1.
You can pin that comment. But yeah, I think that's a great way to wrap things up. And thank you.
Thank you.
And I'm sure we'll do it soon. Again.
Yeah. We should.
Perfect. Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, see you guys. Bye-bye.